It's winter, but it still feels like September. Hello and welcome to another State of Affairs video on the King Crusoe YouTube channel where I'm wearing a Santa hat despite it being November because I'm cold, that's why, and because my brain's just all sorts of scrambled. You heard me say it. It feels like we're barely hitting September, but we're in November, like Halloween just got over. It also, because of snow outside, feels like Christmas all of a sudden to me. It's all sorts of bonkers, but that doesn't really matter for the purposes of today's video because we're wrapping up October. My birthday was in October and that whole season went great, I will say, and the month overall was pretty great as well. I both had some pretty productive moments, some pretty productive spurts throughout the month, and then some other spurts where I was just kind of lazy and doing nothing. As you might expect, with the birthday weekend, I didn't really get a whole lot done the back half of the month, but we'll talk about all of those things in due time just like I normally do. So let's start off, just like normal, with last month's videos talking just a bit about what went down on the channels for the last month in October. I released 15 videos on the main channel, receiving 857 views between them, which seems like a pretty high number, but there are definitely two outlier videos amongst those, which we'll talk about, whereas some of the videos did surprisingly poorly, we'll say. I'm not going to complain or anything about the numbers, but October was a weird month where I had several videos that like pretty high-key flopped compared to either what I was expecting for them to do or what videos of their type normally do, and then other videos that just really shot up. Oh, the whims of the YouTube algorithm, nobody can predict them. Some of the standout videos for the month, however, were basically my monthly wrap-up content, things like my State of Affairs, my reading wrap-up and TBR video, and then also my book haul video that I released in October. Those three videos all did surprisingly well, and some of those videos do pretty well in the first place, but those three definitely did exceptionally. There were also a few other videos that did very well, one of them being the Sunset Limited review by Cormac McCarthy. That got a lot more views than I would have expected for just a really short play to get, so thank you for that. I also did an Author Talks video with Benjamin Lyer, author of The Failures, one of, if not my favorite book of the year so far. Go check that out if you haven't. And then I also did my Blood Meridian review, also by Cormac McCarthy, but that got a much colder reception, we'll say, than the Sunset Limited did. Blood Meridian was a video that got my first dislike that I've had in like 3 months on the channel, and it got most of them, so let's just say it has very nearly a 50-50 like to dislike ratio split. I basically knew that was going to happen. My take on Blood Meridian is not exactly the most popular, and I was relatively inflammatory in that video, we'll say. If you want to know more, that video is available to check out. It got over 200 views on its own, which was kind of crazy, quite frankly. I never would have expected for any of my reviews to do that. It kind of found the wrong people, however, so, you know, I'll be grateful for the engagement, but kind of laugh at, you know, the dislike ratio. It is rather funny in its own way. However, if you do check out that video, check out the pinned comment as well. Yeah, somebody commented on that video that tried to challenge me on part of my opinion regarding, say, the judge in that book, and really forced me to think about my justifications for why I feel the way that I do about that book in certain regards, and it was great. That's why I pinned it. My response is maybe longer than the comment was. It's pretty lengthy, a response, but it made me think, and if you want to know a little bit more deeply why I feel the way I do, that is there, and especially in a less inflammatory manner than the video itself is. On the second channel, I released only 4 videos, but got somehow 511 views between them, because for whatever reason, episode 11 of the Kingdom Hearts 2 Let's Play, the Pride Rock episode of all of the episodes, got like 400 and something views on its own. Again, the YouTube algorithm is a mystery. I know several months back when I was still doing some of the 2020 Let's Plays and re-uploading those on the second channel, the Little Nightmares Let's Play had a video that shot up and got like 90-something views where the others didn't get anything more than normal. It's a pretty similar situation here, except this one got even more. We'll talk a little bit more on that in the statistics. As for last month's writing, well, I had a pretty okay month. It wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't great. For the Reign of Ash, I wrote about 1,800 to 1,900 words on the Abattoir, which is the outline for the second book in the Hermit of the Bars trilogy. Part one of the three parts of it, so basically the first act, is essentially plotted and written in there, at least to the degree that it needs to be for now. I'm mostly just adjusting some of the timeline and the technical details throughout that. Haven't really worked on that for a couple of weeks now. Haven't been in the headspace, and also was a bit too lazy over the weekend of my birthday, which was a couple weeks ago now, but that's kind of the way things go sometimes. I hope to get a little bit more done on that. I was hoping to have the whole outline for that book done this month, maybe even some of the third outline as well. Unfortunately, like I said, it did not quite turn out that way, so here's to getting to that by the end of the year, which I think is still very doable as long as I actually buckle down and do it. For reviews and blogs, I did write about 4,000 words in book reviews by technicality. My Lord of Chaos review was about 2,250 words, definitely a bit lengthier than I was expecting it to be, but I'm very happy with how that one turned out overall. I did about 1,500 words for Witchy Eye, which was also a little bit lengthier than I guessed, but simultaneously a little bit shorter than I probably would have preferred, but I think that review is pretty good too. And then just a cheeky little 250 words over the first 2 volumes of the monster manga that I've been reading. I'm not really doing full-length reviews for those volumes as I finish them, just doing like quick little brief, here's how I feel about this volume, and that's that type of wrap-up for those. So those are just a few extra words in there. I wrote about 1,650 words for film reviews, but I'm going to talk about 4,450 words that I wrote, because for whatever reason, 2 of these reviews that I just did not talk about last month in the October State of Affairs, for reasons that I have no idea really. I watched Reagan and Twisters, both of those, at the end of August, and wrote reviews for them over the first week or so of September. And so the words that I wrote, that I talked about in the last one of these State of Affairs video should have included the 1,200 word review I did on Reagan and the 1,600 word review that I did on Twisters, but I just didn't include them there for some reason. I have the other notes for last month here. It says film 0 words, and that was just a blatant falsehood. I don't know why I didn't include them or how I forgot about them in the first place. Sometimes that kind of thing happens, but it does. This month, however, I did watch Joker 2 and therefore wrote a 1,650 word review on that. Not a fantastic review, I got to admit. If I wanted to do that review a little bit more justice, it would probably be a solid 600-700 words longer, maybe even more than that, but I didn't really care enough to make it that much better. It was long enough as was to basically get my point across, that being that it was an okay movie. It had some problems, but I also don't think it was terrible either. And that's where I stood on it. As for some other words, these are also going to be a technicality. I wrote these 1,000 words before October, but I've been organizing them and kind of reshuffling things around for this month in preparation for a couple videos to come this month in November. And those are going to be for an album review on Linkin Park's new album From Zero. Later this month, when the album comes out on the 15th, I've started writing part of that review. I don't remember exactly when it was. It was right around the time the first single for that came out. I wrote an introduction. I've just been organizing what I'm anticipating for the review to be, and also preparing to get a little bit more done as far as pre-album release words I can write. Similarly, the Linkin Park discography ranking that I plan to do shortly after that review comes out, I have about 700 words in that, and I've been organizing that, ranking the actual list, because I've listened to all of those albums over the last couple of months and been enjoying myself, but definitely thinking about the ranking, where things are going to place, and then tentatively basically organizing that essentially is what I've done. So I wanted to talk about that as well. But now it is time to jump into the channel statistics. On the main channel, I got just 1 view shy of 1,600 views, up 10% from last month, which, like I said, October felt a little bit weird on this channel, where plenty of the videos that came out just really underperformed. And that's not something that I normally worry about too much if videos get a little bit less than normal. It's when they get like half or maybe a third of as many views as they would normally get in, say, any other scenario, or that I would be expecting based off of the averages of what videos tend to get. And that's when I look at a video, it's just like, okay, why did that like just do nothing for whatever reason. And then there are other times where videos really overperform, where I expect a video to be like, okay, that one I think is going to be on the lower end or maybe even underperform, just straight up flop, and then it does even better than than average, we'll say. That kind of thing happens all the time with YouTube. We're subject to the whims of the algorithm. October was definitely a month that had some videos really shoot up, and then some other videos that just kind of did nothing. But all in all, it ended up being, I believe, my second best month as far as views are concerned. If not my second best, my third best. So that's kind of really great. I wasn't expecting for that to be the case when so many videos just kind of did really poorly in their first few days. So that's something to take note of. Pretty similar thing with 153.5 watch hours, which was 20% higher than last month. Again, very good performance, but it didn't feel like that was going to be the case partway through the month. If I was looking at my statistics halfway through October, I would have guessed that like none of them would have reached anywhere near this level. So it's just kind of a weird scenario. I'm grateful for all the watch time. I'm grateful for the retention. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. October just kind of felt like it wasn't doing that well, so I'm just really glad that it did. 52,000 or more impressions for the month, which is actually down 25% from last month. I'm not going to complain about that though. It's still plenty of impressions, and clearly it meant that I actually had a little bit of a higher click-through rate in October than I did in September, which is arguably better for the channel than just having really high impressions and nobody clicking on them. So I will definitely take that slight dichotomy. I also continued my trend of getting like 10 or more subscribers basically every month this year, aside from 1 month. I believe earlier in the year there was only one that I haven't gotten at. I got another 12 subscribers in October, which means I am scratching the surface of breaking 700. If I continue this trend, I will easily break 700 subscribers by the end of the month. Obviously, I'm not going to hold my breath for it. Things could definitely change. I had the end of September where I lost more subscribers than I gained in a 2-week period. So something like that could definitely happen for every 2-week period remaining left in the year, but I'm very close to 700, and that is kind of boggling my mind, and I'm very grateful to all of you who have clicked that shiny red button. On the second channel, I got, again, much of an outlier, 534 views over there, up over 1100% from the previous month because of that one video that really shot up for, frankly, no reason at all. I cannot put together why that was the video that shot up. I mean, it was the Pride Rock one, so about Kingdom Hearts 2 Let's Play. Was the one in, you know, the world of the Lion King, so I can anticipate like the Lion King garnering some clicks there. But in the context of Kingdom Hearts 2, that world being the one to gain a lot of clicks is kind of confusing me a bit. As such, I had a much higher watch time than normal, 31.5 hours, so up 234% from the last month. I had a pretty similar impressions increase as a result as well, 374% increase with over 7,000 impressions. Very good month for the second channel. I can't say that that will be a trend that will continue on, because I'm absolutely certain it won't, but I'm grateful for those views and everything nonetheless. 3 subscriber increase over there, totaling at 21. All 3 of those subscribers were from that one Pride Rock Let's Play video, so that is interesting to note. We'll see how many of those people actually stick around, but thank you for clicking on those videos over there if you have been watching them. Otherwise, this month I'm actually really not sure what it is I have planned overall. I didn't work very heavy on the Reign of Ash last month, so I'm going to try to rectify that a little bit more this month, actually finish that second outline, maybe get started on the third outline as well. If I could have that whole trilogy basically plotted and in there essentially good to go by the end of the year, so that revision would only take a couple months early on in 2025, that would be fantastic. Because other than the Reign of Ash, I don't really have any video work to prioritize as far as things normally go, aside from recording one last video and then having one more that I still have to get planned and scheduled with somebody else, another Author Talks video, hopefully for the end of the month, but there's a chance that something else will happen. Everything that I have to do in November is basically done, so yeah, I have plenty of writing time, so I hope to actually spend my time doing that rather than being lazy. And come to think, on top of that, I didn't really work on the website at all either in October. Again, part of that was the laziness, and also you know, being too busy playing Remnant 2 for a couple of weekends there after my birthday, especially, and not being around where I was out of town a couple of times, and generally just spending my time having a little bit more fun on my own rather than working a couple of weeks this month. That's how things go, you know, just kind of wrapping up the summer essentially before winter came. I wanted to do a couple of things and get outside and do some stuff that I normally wouldn't do, so I did that as well. We'll see what happens. For the channel, I did get a lot of brand account stuff done, so most back end work that I've been working on with the YouTube and with other channels, getting a couple other channels started and set up, doing that kind of thing. I've got a lot of that kind of stuff done. Shouldn't struggle to finish up many of the back end updates that I have left, so probably after that I'll be updating the website, circling back around to working on the website for the rest of the year. I certainly hope that that is the case. But that is all that I have for you today. I'll see you guys in the next video, whichever one that may be. I don't even know off the top of my head. This is coming out on Saturday, so that means tomorrow is actually a video I'm really excited about. It's my hour-long scripted review of The Passenger and Stella Maris by Cormac McCarthy. I love those two books. I'm really proud of the review that I did there, and there's a reason I made it scripted for the YouTube video. That's because the reviews were too long to fit on Goodreads, but also because I felt like those books deserved more than my standard review over here, so I definitely prioritized making that a great video, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. I could have spent another like 10 hours making it even better, but I figured it didn't really justify doing that. Especially since it needed to come out tomorrow and I just barely finished working on that a couple days ago as was. I would have risked not meeting my timeline if I decided to go whole hog on that. As is, it's a good enough video. I'm happy with it, and I really hope everybody checks it out. But I'll be back then. I hope to see you guys there. I clicked the wrong button because it was in the wrong place. I hope to see you guys then.